Just thought I'd give ourselves a guard of honour for the last episode of the season. Good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 49, the final one for 2021. Unfortunately, not the best night to end the season for Dundalk with a 2-1 loss to Derry. Joining me, as always, Chris Clark. Chris, have we got anyone else there?
Everyone came in as soon as we decided to start. So Gally's here. Gally, how are you?
Evening.
Steph's here. Steph, how are you, pal?
Hi, guys.
How's it going, lads?
I thought he clicked the wrong link at one stage.
I hope you didn't mind me doing the guard of honour there at the start, because it seems to be the in thing to do these days.
We should have stood all around you and let you come on to the podcast or something.
Look, we'll get through the game fairly lively because there wasn't this here be as lively as the game was. Probably, I think Adrian Taff referred to it as a dead rubber at the start of the game, and it kind of turned out that way for large parts, didn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I think the first half, I think we had a majority of the chances and looked to be playing football. Got a reward with a really good strike. It seemed an unusual strike. It obviously made a lot of motions in the air as it was on its way to deceive the keeper and go in. But I think Sean Murray had a good run out tonight. But second half, I think their goal probably just before halftime probably leveled it up and killed any sort of momentum into the second half. And kind of petered out nearly in the second half. They got their goal, they were happy enough, and that was all the impetus gone out of the game then at that stage. Unlucky with Murray with one off the line then again, but huffed and puffed. Is probably what I would say.
Yeah, I think Murray again tonight showed his class, and I know we'll be talking about next season and who we should be looking to keep and things, and he's top of the list, I think, for players that aren't on contract tomorrow morning. But Gally, what do you think of the match? You were up at it, right?
Yeah, it's similar to Chris. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm always saying it never got going, but it was a typical end of season game. It's a pity there was nothing in it for both teams, really. That probably what really killed it building up to it. But I mean, it just never. Like I was talking before, Dunwigan starting in the CDM role. I thought, right, we the majority of the play, like in the first half, like Chris says, like I was sitting down on the town end,
just as why you didn't mention anywhere else.
And my daughter was with me. She hardly saw any action of the game because everything was happening in the far end. Now, it was just possession on the far end. There was nothing really happening. I mean, the strike from Murray's decent. Keeper kind of flaps it. I mean, I actually texted to the group because I actually thought it was. I thought it actually got a deflection. But yeah, look, it just never. It was flatter to deceive. It was just plenty of ball for both teams, really. When if you break it down overall, but just nothing. Just nothing happening, just nothing really. You can't even talk about too many chances. I mean, the one off the line, I mean, their strike is just, I know we made fun of the Derry commentator. Steph made fun of him earlier on for talking the way he said Kieran Hawke, and all I thought about was Steph when this ball went in earlier on. But I mean, strike, but apart from the goals, there was nothing. There was nothing to talk about. There was nothing. I'm sure Flano and Adrian Taff were absolutely bored to tears in the gantry.
Flano says you owe him a tenner, though. What's going on there?
I can't remember. Oh, I know. Yeah, we'll keep that. Yeah, I know I owe my tenner.
Let's just do an episode trying to figure out why Gally owes Flano a tenner there.
Whoever figures out gets to beat them.
Apart from the goals, I mean, look, it's the pack Oriel Park as well. I mean, the atmosphere was great, but kind of half time. I actually was surprised him at the giving out. A lot of fans were kind of getting a little bit annoyed over it, and I think it's just because it's an end of season. The seasons we've had, it's the last game of the league, and they just really wanted a little bit more. But it was such. It's not a disappointment. A damn squib. I don't know if somebody said that already. A damn squib, but that's probably the best way of putting it. It perfectly bookends the season, doesn't it? The season we've had, you probably couldn't expect any different, really, over 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's that episode one we win the President's Cup, but we think we're all for a great season. And then we just roll over the line. Steph's back. So Steph, you got to watch the game online, didn't you? Or you got to watch it, sorry. You didn't get up to the game, but have you any idea why Gally owes a tenner to Flano?
No idea. God knows what it is. Hopefully, it's nothing got to do with anyone signing a new contract. I was supposed to be leaving.
See where you started, John. See what you started.
We won't mention that.
What do you think of the match?
No. I didn't start it. Yeah, look, it was promising sort of first half. Hang on, my coverage is terrible here. I'm gonna have to try and sort it
It's
out.
like Mike Bassett. It's like Mike Bassett. Steph's answering the question after the question.
He's going to play Benson and Hedges now.
Yeah, love this. Love being live. I suppose. Look, at if anybody has their thoughts on a man of the match for tonight. If anybody else wants to pick Murray along with myself, then we'll just give it to Murray.
I think more people are wondering what the tenner's about. Tell the truth.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe we'll get We'll invite Flano on if he wants to come on for the end of the
Tell
season.
us about the tenner.
Tell us about the tenner. Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what anybody else thought. I thought, I don't know if I came away from the game just thinking it was harsh. Maybe I was being harsh on Dundalk, but it just never. In fairness, I usually sit in the stand, so I couldn't get a ticket for me. We went for the stand, so I ended up sitting down the town end. So I'm not used to sitting there. So I don't know if I couldn't read the game, but I don't think I'm wrong saying it was really not boring, but it just never.
I think the first half there was plenty about it. We seemed to be kind of on the front foot, and I think we were pushing them. They didn't really seem to be finding a way to break us down.
No,
there was plenty of good play. Like I'm thinking of the Hooben chance that played over the top as well. You think if that had gone in, his nice little roll back for McMillan. Tried to flick one past the post as well in the first half, and so we were fairly applying the pressure. And like I say, I think that the little control for Sean Murray for the goal as well, to take it down, cut inside a player, like it shows how good of a player he is, and to finish that, like I said, it must have done some amount of movement in the air, because if you look at the keeper, he was all over the shop trying to figure out what way he kind of went to overpass his shoulder nearly, it seemed. But then we as soon as we got the goal, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little and allowed them back into the game very quickly. There was a couple past the post. All of a sudden they were finding little gaps in and around behind us. There was a couple-ish, I think, Flano was talking about Benamar's tackle in the first half for a possible penalty. Like, there seems to be some sort of contact there. It was dismissed very quickly. And then for their second one, Flano seemed to think maybe from the angle that Jurkowskis was playing him onside, was it? For
which, Chris?
For their winner.
That's
there was a lot of shouts now, albeit out the other end of the pitch, a lot of shouts for offside when I could hear people talking about it. Now, I didn't see the replay right, and it's hard to tell from our end, but it must have been very tight. But like you say, it could have been Rivas playing him on. Yeah, I think it might have just been off camera, so it was hard to tell on the stream as well. But you nearly say if Flano could see the whole line where it was, like, so it was one or two decisions there. I thought probably didn't help, because imagine Sammy goes down, we get a penalty for that, and then you'd Murray strike then after that, for already a party mood in Oriel Park. If we had gone 2-0 up there, it would have been party central at that stage, spring break time.
Yeah, it was the atmosphere again was great, and you could kind of get that sense of something fresh is coming. It just would have been nice to cap the season off with a win and to kind of kick off this new era of ownership with a positive note, but it was like, I just see someone saying there that we didn't seem bothered apart from a few of the lads, and I don't think that's necessarily fair, but it came across. I don't know if you remember when we played Pats in the league game after the cup, and we were chasing the game with a few minutes to go. I think they just beat us by, was it 2-1 as well, or was it 1-0? The league game on the Monday night. I can't remember the score now.
Oh, yeah.
But do you remember the last 5-10 minutes where we just played the ball at the back and there was no urgency to get the ball in the box? And it was just there was a lot tonight where it seemed like that was the case, didn't it? Where we were just happy to have the ball, and there wasn't that much penetration into the final third of the pitch. Where last game of the season you've got a crowd like that.
Would you have to bring into some sort of consideration, though, Pingu, that because unfortunately the situation the club has found itself in, will a lot of these players be here next year? We don't know. Therefore, let's not get injured. If I need to sign for somebody else, I need to be 100% fit to move on. I don't want to, over commit myself on anything, and we weigh this up in a time when we go a little bit more. I wonder if that was part of it in any way as well.
Possibly, but I'm sure. Look, Flano commenting if you're still watching, because he's been through it in an era where at the end of every game of every season you're without a contract, and you don't know where you're going to play next year. So you would think there'd be that little bit of professional pride, and go out and get your win and put in that performance.
Now, I could be doing them a disservice, so I'm just
I think it's a valid point. I mean, I would just look at it. The other side is all these players. We're here, and we'll hear Martin talk a little bit about it in our interview later. But they've talked and they're saying, we're talking to other clubs, but they haven't signed contracts yet. So a game like tonight, you're still putting yourself in the shop window, and you want to put in a good performance to attract, whether that be the new Dundalk owners, or that be clubs, or other clubs. I remember Ian Foster back in 2010, 2011 said always that there was players that would perform towards the end of the season because they know they're in the shop window. It'd nearly be more acceptable in the mid-season point of the season if we knew we weren't going to win a league title. I mean, we were just in a position where we weren't going to. We were trying to stay up at that point, But look, I take your point, Chris. I just feel like there should be that bit of professional pride, and you should be going out to try finish on a high, especially with a crowd like that and an atmosphere like that the team hasn't had all season.
Especially me pricing the ice cream that I paid for my child as well. I tell you, we'll be doing that again. Absolute disgrace. Yeah, look, I agree. You've hit the nail out. Like, you'd like to think he gets. I think it's probably. It just sums up the season. You can't say anything. Like, it just sums up the season. We've had all the build up to the game. I don't know what the crowd was. I didn't get the official number of the crowd, but it all kind of came to a trajectory at that game, and then you got that damp game, and it's just not awful. I mean, we played worse, but it just never fired. It just never got going, and for both teams really. Flano mentioned on the goal there.
Yeah, Flano just said that he thought they played quite well, and they look organised at their back. Their 2 goals were deflections and a lucky break, but it was a great finish. We were missing Patchen, Sloggett and Duffy from last week, so maybe telling us to cut them a bit of a break here.
No.
I have to say,
I don't know this season, Flano.
I don't know if it's just when you see him live, the strength of Pat Hoban. It was one thing I was flabbergasted with. Like, his strength is just ridiculous. Like, he was feeding the 2 centre halves. He just had the 2. Like, I'm not saying he had to beat them all night, but his ability to shrug off players is just, it's second to none. It's ridiculous. Like, when you see it up close, it's frightening. Like, he must be an absolute nightmare for centre halves. Now, I know he didn't have nobody the best of games, but it's just something I noticed. Like, within the first 20 minutes, he's just an absolute animal of a man. But to hold off,
what was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, it seemed to be. It was a bit. Now, look at the. I don't know if we're allowed to mention the certain smoke that came from the shed. Are we allowed to mention that? But like that, no, you're not great. Like, I seen the videos of the shed side lads coming up town. It was great. The end I was at, a bit of atmosphere, nothing too. It's kind of, I don't know if it's that area. I wouldn't be used to sitting there at all, to be honest. But it seemed to be a great game. Plenty of noise out of the stand as well. Like, you knew it was a packed Oriole Park. You knew it was just, it had that kind of aura about it. But I mean, I think when it goes in, I mean, Derry fans made plenty of noise themselves. Like, I don't know what they had with them, 800,000. I'm not sure what they had with them, but it seemed like more. It seemed massive. Yeah. But just red flannels there. But it was a good atmosphere. The pity about the result, it's not even the result; it's the performance. I mean, if you're hitting posts, hitting crossbars, fine. It just never really. It was just flat. It was just a flat game. But look, it just writes off the season, and we crack on. We go again next year. Like I'm looking forward to the first game of the season next year already.
Yeah, and by all
It's mad
accounts,
that we
Kelly,
can
there was
football
a lot of familiar faces back in Oriel Park tonight that you hadn't seen in a while too, right?
Yeah, they were everywhere. It was like a who's who of who used to work here.
I hear Jerry Arrowsmith was even there, was he?
Jerry Arrowsmith was there, and I was going to say hello. I said, I don't know if it's him. I had a mask on. I couldn't. Someone. Like, I don't want to say hello just in case. But the legend Jerry was there. Yeah, yeah. It was mad. I don't know if they're all up. The ex staff, I don't know if they're all up to say bye to people or there's a night out. I don't know. It was like a who's who of he used to work here. All that kind of crack. But a packed stand, a packed a packed stadium. But yeah, it was like, great to see Chris Shields as well. Like he came out and. But
who used to work there? Pingu, you never got a call.
I know. Yeah, I'm disappointed.
The B team. It's coming. Don't panic. It's coming. But yeah.
But yeah, look at moving on. I suppose the big talking point coming out of the game. And again, look, if anybody wants to put in the man of the match, I think Steph might have worked it that we get another free pizza tonight, but I'm not too sure.
If not, you've just thrown him under the bus.
Yeah, if not, Steph owes a pizza to whoever picks for the man of the match tonight. And I'm home in 2 weeks, so I can actually win the prize as well.
Sometimes it's not that uncommon for the people who organise them to win the prize. I see what you mean, yeah.
Number 11. But yeah, no, look, I suppose the big talking point coming out of the game is the no-show of Michael Duffy on the pitch. Very disappointing, I think for whatever reason, it panned to him with about 5-10 minutes to go, or panned to the dugout when the two young lads were coming on, and he was sitting on the dugout. He still had the jacket on, but he had the shin pads and the socks, so it looked like he might have made a cameo. And just disappointed that the supporters never got the chance to say goodbye to him, and he never got the chance to kind of have a swan song for the last few minutes.
It's in a season of strangeness. It's got to be right up there. It's really when Ryan O'Kane come on, I thought that's odd. Like I know Ryan. I mean, if you're going to put Ryan on, it's going to be tonight. But where he came on and left, I kind of thought maybe Duffy, maybe he's going to come on really late here tonight. And yeah, it's just you're here and thinking he might have been injured.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I know the game that was in it. If Dundalk had something to play for, I can see the logic and maybe look at he mightn't fancy it, and maybe Vinny mightn't trust it. I don't know. You don't know, but it's really odd. And if there's no real reason for it, it's awful. Like it's just mad that you would not play someone. Like he warmed up at half time. I watched him warming up at half time. So there was, unless something happened, that would be up to the strength and conditioning coach or the physio to say, look, he can't come on if he has an injury. It can only be an injury, or I don't know. I honestly don't. It's such a strange one. Like even if he was injured, I'd still put him on. So like, you know what, you're sending him to Derry. Like, if he's going to Derry,
now, isn't it?
Yeah, just put him on. I'd send him off for the last 30 seconds. Just throw him goals, left back, whatever. And look, and you hope against hope. Maybe he's not going. You don't know. Maybe he's not going anywhere. That's me. All my fingers crossed. But look, it's a really strange. Like, but then look, we expect nothing else at the minute. But it's a very odd, and it's a pity for him. It's a pity for kids, because there's kids up there tonight probably looking to get pictures of his last game, pictures of him in the field. Probably fans are waiting for the ovation. We thought we were shocked he didn't start, so we thought we would have, came off for the ovation. But if he doesn't start the game, maybe you're thinking it's a fitness thing. But even half fit, he still gets a game. He's still got to come on at some stage, even just to take the last throw in or something. When you've given everything to the club, it's a very, very odd situation. But look, we've had a season of it, so.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's rumours going around, and we're just hearing different stuff. There was one rumour that he wasn't fit at the start of it. There's one rumour that he refused before the game. There's a rumour that he refused twice during the game. There's word that he said to someone, I think someone commented in that he said he had picked up an injury, but Steph's back on. So just your take on it, Steph. It's very odd, isn't it, that he wouldn't get a couple of minutes, even just a minute or two, as a kind of swan song on the pitch.
Yeah, just seeing like Alan saying he had a bit of a groin issue. Well, he wouldn't have been on the bench from the start, then they wouldn't even put him on the bench. And then, like, why would he put on his shin guards and get taped up and get ready, like, to go on? Obviously, something's happened. I'm sure, especially with them playing Derry, I'm sure he'd family up. Like, it's your last game after everything that the European runs, the cup wins, the league titles, and then just to go out not making it off the bench. Like Ali said there, you'd put him on even if he was injured, just to get on the pitch and, I don't know, get a bit of a reaction from the crowd. Like, it's, I don't know. I can't see, like, I know Alan, he's going to probably say that anyway, because that's a sort of professionalism in him, saying, oh, he wouldn't out somebody to a fan. Like, but I just can't see why he'd be on the bench not to come on. That'd be just my thing with I don't know.
I thought that was strange too, just the fact that if he was carrying an injury, why he would be on the bench.
What would be the point in being on the bench then?
Yeah.
If you're definitely not going to come on. And Gally, you said he warmed up at half time. So why would you do that either?
Yeah,
you'd be in the dressing room, or you'd be, I don't know.
And even if, like I was saying, I'm not even joking. Like, even if he's injured, just save him. Just save a sub. Like, it's a nothing game for us, really. There's nothing.
Put him on with a minute to go.
Yeah, just put him on with a minute to go. Just tell him, look, just sit in the middle of the park. Sit up front with Pat. Don't do anything. Don't want you to run anywhere. I don't want you to touch the ball. Just, it's, yeah, look, hindsight. But, I mean, you shouldn't need hindsight for something like that.
Flano's asking why are we shocked something strange happened? Something strange.
We're not shocked. We're just calling it strange.
Something else strange happened in the comments. You put Sean Murray down as man of the match, Flano. So me and you agree on something this season.
Yeah, like that comment there, fit or not. Yeah, like save a sub for him. I mean, Jesus, like
maybe that's what the tenor was all about. You and Flano finally agreed. Cali said that'll never happen.
I can't even. I don't even think I can repeat what the tenor was for.
Flano, if Chris sends you the link, will you come on and just explain this? Because I think people are more interested in this than talking about Michael Duffy. But Chris, I suppose, what was your thought on that situation?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I think, a lot of people were even just saying there if he's fit or not. Surely at the very end you give him the last minute or something like that. We weren't going to get anything out of the game. The ball was just sitting in the corner most of the time. That Derry were happy enough to run down the clock on it. That was the time. The two young lads were coming on. One of them should have been just as a swan song to go around. And I think we've seen plenty of players throughout all our years up and down Oriel Park playing with dodgy injuries and bits and pieces, holding groins while trying to play. So I think, you'd like to think he could have got something there. Is there something bigger behind it? We'll probably never know. But it was just an awful shame that he wasn't just given that platform. We think of Shields' last game and, even though there was only 100 people there for that, but the standing ovation of what he got that time and everyone outside, just an awful shame.
Was there anything Gally at halftime for Fats?
Say that again?
Was there anything for McElhaney at halftime?
The awards, was it? Yeah, he got the goal scorer award. Big, right. Like, I mean, the cheer for him and Shields was just like, I think for Shields in particular, it was great. But yeah, they got the Vinny present. I think did Vinny done the pre-match, the top goal scorer.
Yeah, he done player of the year and goal of the year.
I think Chris Shields did Chris Shields, I could be wrong, I couldn't see the standing. Chris Shields gave Fats the goals, the top best goal. But Vinny presented the award pre-match. But yeah, massive crowd, like big row for Fats coming in and going off the field. And it was kind of quick and on and off, but he was looking to wave and say goodbye to everybody, and I like Anne's thinking.
Well, your rumor mill is in full flow now, Gally. You're putting
this in the tenor. I'm going to be I'm telling you, I'm going to be nationwide in the morning. No, look, it's great for Fats and someone to get the stand ovation. It's just a pity we don't want to dwell on it too long. It's a pity Michael didn't get it, but look, I'm sure he got it at the end, Well, but it's such a pity you don't even get on for that minute. Yeah, look, it's one of them. There was kind of even, and I don't want to go on. I didn't even think I was going to mention, but I will. Even when the awards were going out the pre-match awards, there wasn't that kind of thanks Gafford. That that kind of you might have got with the Kenny. It It's kind of like, here's your award, right, get off, you know, we're going. You know, that kind of way. And I maybe I'm overthinking it, I don't know, but yeah, look. We don't look at. I'm just following. I have an eye here. My phone's bleeping here on the right. If anybody's wondering what I'm looking at my phone for, Dan McDonald put up a tweet saying, you know, contrary to blah blah blah, there's going to be a strong Dundalk squad next season, contrary to rumours. So I'm my eye on this to see what he's putting up. But
maybe you heard our interview with Martin earlier.
Maybe so.
Someone leaking, lads.
Maybe on that note, should we dive into that, Chris? Have you got it ready?
Yeah. I think the whole thing with the takeover, and we never really pop back in to discuss it. So I think we can have a good chat about that when we come back. But to be fair to Martin, he popped on the show before for us with our Tommy Connolly tribute that time, and he did make a promise that if this happened to you, Pingu, he would come back on. So fair play to him for sticking to his word. So this was earlier on today, because obviously he would be at the match tonight, and probably a lot of responsibilities or whatever for him. So earlier today he jumped on and just gave us a few minutes about the takeover and where hopefully the club will be going. Well, this is a damn squid. Well, that was a damn squid, wasn't it? Give me 2 seconds to go again.
Biting into a sandwich.
Give me 2, lads, and I will sort that. That could have been worse. No.
But yeah, no, it was a good conversation today with Martin, and he was very open about moving forward. And there's been a lot said. As Chris said, we haven't spoke yet. It really, we didn't have a podcast when the new owners took over, and having the opportunity obviously to get Martin on, and one of the first people to have an at-length conversation, I think is good for the supporters to kind of listen to as well.
I think the main thing, like we mentioned it to him as part of this, that this was the bid we kind of all hoped would take over, and that they would get a chance to take over the club, and the fact that they're there now, is kind of everyone has to back them now, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, you see people on on social media. Oh, what's the budget? What's this? Like, don't worry about the budget. Like, looking after itself. Like, the fact that even if there's not the money people want, the fact that it's back with a local business, a local, people that have been there before, people connect with the club. Martin Connolly's got as big a connection with the club as anybody you'll meet. He's been at it. He's been involved playing, coaching for what, late 80s, mid 80s. We had him on for the Tommy Connolly special. I didn't actually realize how long he was at the club. So you got that connection back, and money will look after itself. They'll try and do that next season. That's nothing for the fans to worry about. We just buy our tickets, buy our season tickets, and we help out as much as we can. And like, the fact that it's back and local, you can see the buzz. I mean, would we got the crowd tonight if there was no reselling the club? I don't think so. Can
I try this again, lads?
Go for it, yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
So joining us now on this eve of a real awakening, hopefully, for the club again, is Martin Connolly. Martin, you're very welcome to the show. I suppose you're great to see someone like yourself back involved, and local personnel back involved with the club. For, I suppose, everyone watching and listening, what's your own role within this new consortium? And I suppose if you want to talk a little bit about everybody in the organisation getting together then too.
Yeah, well, my own role at the moment is that I've come in. I've been asked to come in as a consultant and to help and advise on a number of matters, probably mainly due to my experience that I had within the club before. From a personal point of view, it sort of suits me at the moment, because I did take on a role with a very good friend of mine who offered me a job when I hadn't got one, and I sort of committed that we would do that till the end of the year, and then we'd assess where both of us are, and I think I have to be fair to him for giving me an opportunity when I hadn't got one, and I think it's important that I see that through, and I will. But I have a brother who's got involved in this massive project, and it's something that I always enjoy doing. And I know Clarky, and I've got to know Sean over the last couple of weeks, and they're two really great folks. So I'm going to get involved and see if I can help in any way, and we'll assess it as it goes on, and that's been honest. But I think as a Dundalk supporter, me, I think we have to understand that things will change. I think they will. I think in the long term they will change. I hope they'll change successfully, but we do have to try and stabilize the football club, realign it a little bit, and make sure that things are right both on and off the pitch, and that's what we intend to do in the short term.
I think, Martin, if you're if anywhere close to social media at the moment, the Twitter sphere is inept at the moment, with people wondering about plans, I suppose, for this consortium going forward, long-term, short-term plans. From your understanding, I know, and I understand you might not be close to all the details on it, but do you know of anything coming down the line at the moment, short-term, long-term, whatever you think?
Well, like I said, I think short term we need to stabilise the football by Peaksade's own admission. The model that they were running was probably not sustainable, and I think people need to recognise that. We're not pressing panic buttons or anything like that, but I think we just need to get back to raw basics of a proper League of Ireland football club. That would be ingrained in the community, that will have a pure purpose and vision and identity, and we'll work on all those things and we'll produce all those things in time. Maybe not me, but the people that are involved. I think that the new owners, I think, own one of the best high-tech sporting industry business that there could be in Stat Sports, and I think they plan to take that sort of code of excellence into Dundalk Football Club over the next period. I think it's an exciting time for Dundalk Football Club and its supporters. But you mentioned social media. I am a wee bit disappointed now that all of a sudden people have found a voice and identity in the last couple of days on social media, and people want to have a go and they want to know strategy plans and visions, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I just said to somebody, I think today, that Newcastle United were bought last week by one of the most the wealthiest countries in the world. At the first press conference, they weren't asked for the strategic plan for the next 5 years or what's going to happen in the next 12 months or 2 years. And I understand. I remember when I was in the job before, and you guys will understand this.
Yep.
A local editor of local paper had a discussion with me, and he said that he would sell more newspapers in Dundalk with anything that comes from Dundalk Football Club than he would about Loud Hospital, general election, local election, or a murder in Dundalk. So, like, I get it, but and again, somebody on social media was having a go at us because I said something that religion's going on for months. I recall saying that, and if I did, but that's not how it worked out. We were out of the process 3 times, so we didn't really have opportunities to say, now when we get in here, this is and we're going to do this. And of course, and I know at some stage you're going to ask about Oriel Park and the stadium development. We've had very little conversations on those sort of things because we all know as supporters how the club was going. It was going to change hands. We wanted the guys wanted to get ownership of it, to stabilize it and take it back to somewhat thing of what it was. And that's the short-term goal, is to stabilize the football club and have it running like a well-run League of Ireland football club. That's the short-term goal.
Martin, I suppose from reading the statement that was put out by the club earlier in the week, there was a big emphasis, on getting the community feel back for the club. And I know Andy mentioned quite a lot about, season ticket holders and merchandise sales. Is the longer term ambition of the owners going to be dependent on how they're backed by the supporters? Where over the past couple of years, money has been spent. I'm not going to say it wisely because it's obvious that it hasn't been spent wisely by the owners, but the money from the supporters is going to be very important now. It wasn't as much importance on that kind of money over the last couple of years, but in terms of how successful the club is going to be, it needs the supporters to be back in the club, right?
Yeah, listen, and I've already said that, what you've touched on in my ideas would be aligned with a properly run League of Ireland football club, aka Sligo Rovers, Bohemians, St Patrick's Athletic. We can all say that Derry City are going to spring forward now with Philip, and Shamrock Rovers are, they signed Jack Bourne today for on a 2-year contract. Just we're not going to be in that field at the moment. I'm sure we'll come to that now as well. I absolutely, and Andy and Clarkey and Sean. I hope he lets me call him Clarkey now. Maybe I have to call him Alan. But
we're all in trouble.
I think they're all aligned with that way of thinking. That we need everybody on side to buy season tickets. We need everybody to buy those jerseys and that merchandise. We need everybody to sign up to the Patreon. We need everybody to back us, right? And knowing that every single penny of that will go into the budget and help us. That's what happens in Sligo Rovers. Mm-hmm. That's what happens in Bohemians. Bohemians slightly a wee bit different at the moment because they've got transfer income and all that sort of thing. But they're a community-based football club, and that is the long-term plan as we stand now. Without writing it down, I don't want to be misquoted or people say you said this on such a day. But for me, that is where from talking to the boys, that's the club they want. And as we go forward and as we grow in the next number of years, hopefully, please God, they will support it in every way that they can going forward.
Yeah, and I suppose, Martin, just touching on you said there hasn't been any discussions yet, obviously, about ground development, but that's been something that's been, discussed quite a lot just over the last year among supporters. If that is something that comes up in conversation over the next while, and we've discussed this at length, I feel like every other episode of the podcast this year, but, now there's a legitimate supporters club at Dundalk Football Club that there wasn't, even during Andy's first tenure, there was no actual supporters club during that time. There was no real supporters club during the Peak Six era. Now, under this new era, you've got the 1903. Would you think, it would be realistic, or would it be welcome for the likes of a supporters group like that to come to the owners and say, look, we want Oriel Park redeveloped, but we want to help with it, with the finances that they're going to have coming in through their supporters club. If they have 100 grand, if they say we want to put this 100 grand solely to ground redevelopment, what will you do with us? Is that something that'll obviously be welcome? If Oriel Park wants to be redeveloped, it's not going to be up to the owners, right? Because these lads, and Andy would probably be one of the first, and Clarkey and Sean, and you'll say it, Martin, too, you're not going to be there forever. You know what I mean? So it has to be a collaborative effort, doesn't it?
Yeah. Listen, we're all big supporters of Dundalk Football Club, and thankfully, in general, the town of support does support what happens in that. I think one of the saddest things over the last number of years is, and I'm not just naming anybody, we could go over the last 60 something years, and the development of Oriel Park has not been good by everybody. And that's a collective, everybody has to take a bit of criticism for that. I do believe that part of the vision and part of the plan should be that supporters' voices is listened to and heard. I have spoken with two members of the committee of the 1903 club in the last couple of days. I have told them that we would like to have dialogue with them and take it forward. Definitely, as far as I'm concerned, going forward as a club for a long-term plan, facilities should be high on the list of priorities. It's a wee bit difficult when I talk about stabilizing the club and getting it on the right footing, then to talk about a possible €1 million development of Oriel Park. And again, it's not something that we've spoken about at the moment, but it is something that we would like to, and we would engage in any other willing partners in the town or community that would be prepared to work with us on that. And I think that is one avenue that we will examine. But I found from my experience, it's better to be cautious on these things, and until we have that conversation with people, and hopefully we would then have a shared vision that then we can take. But involvement by supporters, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I would encourage that completely.
Yeah, and I think, moving away from the ground, obviously this, like, since the new takeovers happened, there's been 2 posts that I've seen about community engagement. I think that's 2 more than we've seen all season. No, I've probably been a bit harsh on that one, but to see it in such close proximity, that's obviously a key part of the short-term aim, is it, Martin, in stabilising the club, is getting that community feel back, because that's obviously especially over the last year, like, that's disappeared.
Yeah, and
it seemed to come back overnight.
A 1,000,000%. I know that Andy spoke about an emotional attachment to the football club. I think it can be argued that we all have that, and that I think Andy could have quite happily settled in retirement and just go up and enjoy games in Oriel Park again. But the growth being pulled back into Oriel Park and trying to improve it and make things better, and put the smile back on people's faces in Dundalk, proved to be too much for him. And he didn't listen to me the first time. He's not going to listen to me the second time, and that was it. But social media can be a dangerous thing as well. We got the. I get that the criticism of a lot of people was that that connection with our website and social media that had gone a bit, and that we weren't sharing messages. We share messages, and then other people say, like, or then I think somebody said in another podcast, some of those quotes were unbelievable. I don't believe that somebody sat in a room and said them quotes. Like, what are you on about? Like, that, of course, the man who bought the football club said the quotes. It's just ridiculous. Like, but I've also learned, Pingu, and so have you, that once you walk in the doors of Oriel Park to do a job, you need to have a broad pair of shoulders and be able to take criticism. And I've no problem with taking criticism. And absolutely, I know you guys and other guys will hold us accountable for things that we do. And you're quite right. Absolutely. But I can assure everybody that every decision that we make, and everybody won't agree with them all, but every decision that we make will be made in the best interests of Dundalk Football Club, the future of Dundalk Football Club, and the town of Dundalk. I can assure everybody of that, because that is ingrained in the new owner's psyche on taking this project on.
Can I just ask about that? Because you mentioned social media a couple of times there. Well, you can cut this out if you don't like it.
Question. Don't shut him down.
Just about the expectation that people are going to have around the football club now. Like, I think we've seen a little bit of that on social media, where people expecting certain things to be done instantly, and people wanting things done overnight. How important is it going to be to manage that kind of expectation? Because I think people are going to see yourselves back in Oriel and immediately expect the good times to come back, like on the first night of next season. So
I'd love to have that.
Is it going to be?
Yeah, I'd love to have that effect, Donald, on people. Yeah, and it's a great question. It is, and it deserves an answer completely. Manage expectations. Yeah, I've heard all sorts of and read all sorts of things on social media about we're going part-time, we're going to be training under candles, not lights, because of the budget. It's that's. I just don't know how to answer that. What I will say to you is what I've said to a couple of people in Oriel Park. We won't have Peak Six's budget. We won't have their player budget. I don't think anybody in the league will have that player budget. I think we have to cut our cloth to fit. And we're good at that. We have been good at that, and that's where we bring our experience in doing that. Everybody will have to come on board and manage that. Will we be a part-time football club with low expectations? Absolutely not. Right? We will do everything in our power to continue to be full-time. We will have high expectations. We will do as well as we can with our budget to make us competitive, and we will hope that our manager and players achieve the highest results that they can, and we will demand. The one thing that we will demand in a Dundalk jersey is that competitive nature and that willingness to win for the town and for the jersey. Absolutely. But yeah, it's a great point. I would agree with you. We do, but we're not. I don't see us out with the buckets just yet. I don't. And I'm being smart there, but I know I'll be quoted on that. We absolutely want to sustain our professional stature. Yeah.
I think the worrying thing from the timelines of when you guys are taking over the club, Martin, and the season running out, contracts running out for players, that's the one concern a lot of people have. That's a real challenge for you guys now with that sort of a timeline, I suppose, is it?
Absolutely. It is a major challenge. And again, I have said somewhere else that you'd be surprised with the amount of clubs and the amount of players who haven't signed a contract with a club. They'll tell you they're talking to and them, but they haven't signed. I have spoken with a number of players, and I've really just asked them for a wee bit of time so that we can bring a wee bit of clarity to the situation, and that we would come back with something for them and discuss things further. That's I am also mindful that by the time this goes out, our last game will have been played, and we lose a number of top class people and top class players. I am also mindful that a lot of tough decisions are going to have to be made in Oriel Park to realign the structure into a more sustainable League of Ireland football club, and I do have to be careful how I do that. But 12 months ago, I was in this situation, and I do have great sympathy for people who are coming to the end of their contracts, or who I'm going to have a discussion about going to a part-time structure in their role, or something else. And I'm very mindful of that, and it's not nice.
We've already seen one move, I suppose, higher up with Colm coming back in as club secretary. Do you think we'll start to see more people who were involved in the club previous coming back in various different guises from volunteers on? Is that what you guys want to see?
Well, I don't know who took Colm Murphy back, because I hate him. I don't know. Again, I'm saying to myself, why did I say that now? Because that's what but listen, Colm's brilliant, and he's brilliant at his job. He's probably the most knowledgeable person, just for people who don't know him, he's probably the most knowledgeable person in the League of Ireland when it comes to rules or procedures or anything like that. He's amazing. It was very important to me and to the boys that you get somebody of the stature of Colm Murphy back involved in the football club. Will we be looking for listen, anybody that volunteers for any cause in a voluntary capacity is an amazing person in this day and age, right? So if anybody wants to be involved in our football club in a voluntary capacity, we welcome them. There is situations and positions that you need certain skills in order to be able to do that job, as you know. You guys know that, and yeah, we will headhunt people and we will headhunt volunteers, but it goes back to the whole fan and community engagement. We want that feel about it. We definitely do. But there's no reason that you can't marry both and have. We don't want we don't want expertise on the cheap. You know, we're not going to take in a volunteer manager like or you know, a volunteer physio, and you know, we're not. You know, we're owned by by a leading company in sports. You know, we're just not going to do that. You know, but listen, and it's. I understand people's frustration and like saying that there's loads of questions not answered. I'll be perfectly honest with you. We haven't answered them yet because it's been a mad 3 or 4 weeks, contrary to what somebody said on Twitter. It's been 2 months. Again, if I did say that, I was wrong. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. We were out of the process. We were in the process. We were out of the process. We were in the process. We were out of the process. Then we were back in the process. And that's the way it went for 3 weeks. Wow. So to say that we sat down and had the vision and our purpose and our identity and our strategy and all those buzzwords done, no, we did not. We speak regularly as 3 or 4, and we will get there. But just please give us time. You know, the owners of Newcastle are still not produced a strategy. Go kill them. Don't, you know. So
what I would say, Martin, is when everything was going on with these takeover talks, there was a firm favourite, I think, amongst the majority of the fans, and you guys were it. This is what we all wanted as fans, and the fact that this has come to fruition, I think that should be credit in the bank for you guys.
Buy us a week.
Yeah, well, I was going to say half a week, but yeah, all right, we'll give you the week for it. So,
yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
This is what everyone should roll behind, am I right? This is where the support's starting.
Well, that's basically what I'm asking for. I'm asking we're asking for you to trust us. You, the supporters, trust us that we're going to put together a football club over time that you can be proud of, that you can identify with, that has the right structures and the culture, and somebody says, what does Dundalk Football Club stand for? You'll be able to know that the people that are with it, players, managers, physios, know what we're about and do that, and that we get the pride back in wearing the jersey. Not only the players, the supporters, but that's going to take a wee bit of time, and it's going to, you know, plenty of players or plenty of people, you know, had banners out there, and I have to say, Peak Six are excellent in every discussion that we had, every conversation that we had, top class, but you're stuck with us now. But back us, because we want to give you something that you can be proud of. But you have to back us, and you have to give us a wee bit of time. Yes, make us accountable. You know, stop us in the street and say, you know, any chance he is getting that centre forward? Mm-hmm. Of course, we'll probably tell you no, but anyway, but make us accountable for our decisions, because we want this football club to be yours. Yeah, that's what we want. We want, and if you look at the people who are there in charge of it, every single one of them will say that to you. They want something to be like, and you're going to hear this because I've heard it, and it's an old football cliche. We are the current custodians of Dundalk Football Club. At the very least that you can hope for us is that when we hand it over to the next ones, that's in better shape that we found it. And that's our aim. And that may be at 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's what we're aiming for. And we're aiming that you can be proud of what we've achieved together.
I don't think there's much more than that we could ask for as supporters, that they're the standards that we're holding ourselves to. Martin, look, you've been so good with your time, so we just want to thank you. We want to wish you all the very best for this, because your success is our success as a club too. So
I have one more question for you, Martin.
Of course he's one more. Of course he has one more.
Any jobs?
For who?
For me.
Not at the moment. You're too busy. You're getting ready for a change in your life, kid.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We'll say no more about that.
We'll say no more.
He's trying to discuss budgets and everything. I don't think we've got a commute budget from you from Chicago.
Yeah.
Matthew's coach doesn't go down. Mark, just once again, we just want to thank you for your time. Wish everybody the very best in this venture for the club.
Thanks. Listen, lads, thanks. Appreciate it. We'll work on this together, and if we can be of any help going forward, we will. All right.
If anybody wants to quote you, it was Aidan, right?
Yeah, it's not me. It's not me. It's his computer. Right. Cheers,
Good
Rob.
luck. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Yeah, right.
You're on mute, Chris.
You're on mute there, Chris.
Well, even still, lads, I got one bit sorted. Let me have the mute part then, will you?
Yeah, that was that's the first I've heard of. That was like what more can you ask for from anybody coming in? Like they're only in the job for a couple of minutes. Yeah, came with that. Like that, if that can't fill you with a bit of hope, there's Donald.
There's Donald live from the
Hey,
toilet.
lads.
Parkway looks at it.
I was going to say I was in an undisclosed location, but you've kind of busted that open as soon as I sat down.
I know them windows anyway.
You know the windows. All you need is a bit of bunting flat in the back, and we go. We know exactly where you are.
I would have been in. I would have been in earlier, but I had a bit of a groin strain that kept me out of the first half of the podcast. So I hope nobody's too upset about it.
At least we got you on towards the end.
Yeah, I didn't want to let this massive occasion go past without making an appearance. You know, like this is what I'm all about. You know.
Yeah.
What do you think of the game, though?
Sorry. Look, the game was a bit of a weird one. The atmosphere was amazing before the game, and I think kind of throughout the game the atmosphere was really good. It was like I also just as a little warning here, I haven't heard any of what you've just said before the interview. So if I'm upsetting if there was a funereal atmosphere, if everybody was really dour and stuff, I'm really, really sorry, because I'm just not going to be. It was a great atmosphere. It was like doing the time warp coming back to Oriel tonight and having like everybody, all the faces that you've seen for years and years and years were all back. So like the atmosphere was great. The game itself, well, look, I thought Derry's goal was fantastic, but it took a deflection, so it wasn't really that fantastic. And the second one was it offside? I think it was offside. So neither of their goals should have counted. We should have won 1-0. And look, what more can you ask for?
It just sums up the season. That kind of game just sums up the season. That's kind of the overriding what we were talking about earlier on. It's just one of them games that you can't. If you're to describe the season in one match, that's probably it.
Yeah, like Derry only seemed to play for about 15 minutes, and it was either side of half time. Like they got the goal, and then almost scored another one straight away, and then started the second half really well. But up until they scored, you wouldn't have thought it meant that much to them that like there's a chance of European football coming here. But look, we got the goal, and then we had a couple of chances in the second half. But I think the whole night was probably just bigger than, for us anyway, was bigger than what was happening on the pitch. But I was a little bit surprised in the first half. I thought Derry would have been well up for it, and they just didn't seem to be. But like they had the two lucky goals.
I think Donald's appearance tonight is a metaphor for this whole season. We all started off in our own sitting rooms or offices on this podcast, and we end up in a toilet. So
yeah, well,
that's the whole season wrapped up.
I also going to say the toilet that I'm in is fucking freezing. So I'm only going to do about 5 minutes and then I'm gone. I had the coat with me and I thought I can't wear the coat because I look like one of the Gallagher brothers with no hair. So I can't wear that. So
now you're too cold.
And now I'm like, well, I regret my decision, but I'm stuck with it now because I can't put the phone down and put my coat on. So look,
you've doubled down on this. So fair play.
Well, look, Donald, before we let you go, what was your thoughts on Martin's interview earlier?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the biggest thing to take from it was that we already have communication. That the guys are already talking to the fans, talking to us. I think that's the biggest thing to take away from it. They've obviously only got their feet under the table. Like there's been next to no time to get anything sorted. So Good
I
advice.
hope when you
Good
finish this
advice.
interview, the toilet just flushes.
I kind of need to point out that I'm actually not in the toilet, but look, no, look. The main thing is like I was happy to hear from somebody connected to the club. Was happy to read what the club put out the other night. I think what we've all lacked and we've all missed over the last couple of seasons really is that like feeling like you're a part of the club. And I think having Martin come on and talk to us, and even like having bucket collections and a couple of posts up during the week about different things that are going on around town, like that's the kind of thing we've all been calling out for. And yeah, it was good to hear from him. Like I wanted him to tell me or to tell us the 14 or 15 players they'd signed, but he didn't do it, you know. But when I leave the toilet, I might ask him and see if we have 14 or 15 players signed. But I also probably won't be able to get back onto the podcast to tell you. So it'll, you know, I'll have that information, and I'm not going to share it. I don't think so. I think I'll just keep it to myself.
Send it in a
I'll
good
sell
chat.
it.
Say Aidan Connolly told you.
Yeah.
It could be worth a tenner to you from Gally, so you know, I would definitely take
Yeah, I did see something about a tenner. What's the story? Did you lose a tenner, or did you?
That's what we'll say. We'll fill you in tomorrow, Gordon. We'll fill you in tomorrow.
All right. Well, look, lads,
Donald,
I'm going to go.
Before you go,
yes.
How many people have asked you for whiskey recommendations so far?
They haven't really asked me for whiskey recommendations. They've just shouted whiskey at me, like not trying to have a conversation with me, but just shout whiskey at me. And I don't really know how to respond. It's like, cool. I like whiskey. I'm a little bit worried that this season has done like unrepairable damage to my reputation. That like people will just see me and think, he's pissed. And it is true. It is true most of the time, but sometimes it's not.
But where are we doing this interview from?
I'm just going to go in an undisclosed location near a toilet. We'll just say that. Yeah, look, lads, honestly, it's been a fucking great season chatting with you. It's been an absolute nightmare of a season in a lot of ways, but these podcasts have been absolutely brilliant fun, and I've had so much crack and laughs chatting with you. And honestly, between yourselves and people sending messages in, it's made the season bearable when it really, really wasn't for a lot of the games and a lot of times this season. So thanks very much, lads. Thanks for starting the podcast. Thanks for bringing me onto the podcast. Thanks for not being able to get rid of me from the podcast. And thanks for continually asking me to come back. Well, we'll say asking me to come back, for not politely asking me to leave. How about that?
Contract renewal for next year, though. Be careful.
Yeah, well, look, I have an agent. My dad's out here somewhere, and he'll have to talk to us about what my salary is going to be for next season. Podcast bonuses.
We're not paying contract wages, pal.
No, like I don't even know who that is anymore. That's like their old news.
We've moved on. Peak 7.
Yeah. I think it's 6.5 until next season starts. Until we're like properly into the middle of it, then it's peak 7.
Yeah.
But look, yeah, lads, thanks very much for everything. Thanks for everybody that's watching it. I don't know if anybody's watching it now because I'm sure some people have left when this clown added himself to the pod. But thanks a lot, lads. I'm going to go. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a whiskey on the table for me when I get back. And I'm going to drink it. I'm going to enjoy it. Cheers, everybody.
Till next time, Donald.
Enjoy.
Top man.
He's fired.
Because he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, you're not allowed this season.
No.
That's next year.
Big time Charlie.
Yeah, going and getting whiskey bought from in the Lily White. Sickened. But yeah, look, going back to Martin's interview, obviously, Chris, me and you were there earlier as part of it. Gally and Steph, you haven't really spoke on it yet. What did you think about it? Just having someone there with kind of an honest conversation about what's going on or what is planned for the short term future of the club.
Yeah, it's good to get that level of connection back straight away. Like we've heard more in the last couple of days than we've probably heard in a year and a half, 2 years. He didn't have to come on and talk. He was honest about things, saying like, look, you'll have to manage expectations. Everything's not gonna just click back into place, and they're gonna wave a magic wand, and everything's gonna be great again. He just talked about realigning to their way of thinking. Look, I think the Peak Six had a plan, and it just didn't come to fruition. Or I think there was a lot wrong with it, and we could see the common sense in it. But like even people coming out now and trying to belittle them already by saying, oh, they're going to be part-time, they're going to be training in the evenings. I know he's made a joke about playing under candlelight and stuff like that, but like surely we should all be getting together now and supporting this thing. Everyone was crying out for the local owners to come in, and we just all need to get behind it now. That's and he was honest. He was honest, and that's all you can ask for. Like obviously we're not going to hear who they've signed or who they're looking to keep on from the squad, or if they're getting rid of the manager, if they're bringing somebody else in, but the ins and outs of that. But look, that's all you can ask for. The opening statement was the same. I think people sort of lost track of themselves, demanding facts and plans and stadium plans, and is the pitch going to be ripped up? And like they said, they were in and out, and then they didn't know if they were going to be in again, and then it all got pushed through very quickly at the end, I was told. So they have to the first thing they probably have to do is probably look at the players they want to retain, and then look in the league or elsewhere where they want to bring players in, because without a playing staff, you don't have a football team. So they have to get their priorities first, and then short-term plan in place, and then look at the longer plan. There's plenty of time now over the next couple of weeks and months to do it. So it's exciting times for me. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a big change from the doom and gloom. We were doomsdaying it there for a while, so I think it's all positive for me. Yeah, every week we are coming on. Jesus.
But yeah, it was an interesting conversation, wasn't it? As you say, it was nice to have someone being honest, and I think one of the big things I take from it, and I think any supporters listening to this, or whether it be live tonight or listening back on the podcast during the week, Martin said, and Steph, you just brought it up there about managing expectations, and I think people are expecting, because Andy Connolly's back on board, that we're going to strike lightning in a bottle like we did with Stephen Kenny again. And we'd all be lying if we're sitting here saying we don't hope that to be the case, but there's a good chance that's not going to be the case as well. So I think, Gally, do you still feel optimistic for next season? Do you still think they could potentially put together a squad that's capable of winning a league title? Is Europe a success, given it'll be better than this season? What's your take on it, having listened to Martin?
Yeah, I highly doubt they've gone into it saying, right, lads, it's the league or nothing. Top 4, top 3, that's probably right. We thinking you aim for top 3. I think we finished 6th.
Yeah.
It's a 6 sounds really low. I know what the points would almost come down to the last game of the season, but they have to improve. We shouldn't be sitting side. We shouldn't have the situation where Rovers, fair enough, but anywhere after that, maybe Derry with what they were about to put in with the 2 lads signing. But after that, we should be looking to be, filling the spaces behind them or even breaking them up. Rovers are going to be tough to catch, but how often did we say when Kenny took over? I know it's a different era, but we were so close to winning the league the first year he took over. We were a couple of games away, and and people forget that.
I think it was a poor start to the league, wasn't it? That year was the reason we didn't win it. Yeah.
And that was from nothing. Now I'm not saying I don't expect us to go and do a title charge, but maybe that's the best thing for us. We don't have Europe. Now we just have to concentrate on domestic stuff for next year and get that European back for 2023. So the pressure's off us, really. because I don't think it can go any worse than this season. The pressure's off and the lads who've taken over. You know, I would be saying I comfortably, I would, not that I would take third now, but definitely they got to break into the top three. And that sounds mental when you've won the leagues we've won over the last couple of seasons. But that's what we're looking at now, because even with Pats haven't spent astronomical money, but they played some fantastic football. So that's where you got to be aiming. You got to be aiming for that to break up the Rovers, Pats, both that little or Derry. But I think Derry will be a team to watch for next season. You know, we're going to have to match them or do better to kind of catch Shamrock Rovers. So I think they're going to be the team to beat with the announcement of Jack Byrne the other day as well. But I mean, just manage expectations. That was the key thing you took from it. The pressures are off. I don't see fans giving out so quickly now if it doesn't go away next year, because we now have this atmosphere of we've local owners, we've hit the reset button. You know, we now know what we're dealing with. You know, like we're going to get this communication from the club. We don't need to know everything, but we're going to get something like Martin's interview earlier on. And it can only give everybody that kind of motivation to kind of just crack on and get it done. I don't think there's any massive amount of pressure on them next year. But the top three, I think everybody's going to be expecting that, or you know, to look for it. But I don't think there's any massive pressure to win a league, and that's great. I think it's great. Yeah. I think that's it's fantastic. It's not fantastic. There's no Europe, but it puts, like I say, it puts the emphasis back on domestic football, and now they got to go for it. Look in the League of Ireland, and that's what we're looking for at the end of the day. Your bread and butter has to be covered.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, when you look at Sligo and Pats and even maybe to an extent Derry, you know, if they end up making Europe, I know it's still up in the air with the cup final, but their squads probably aren't the size of Rovers. And when Europe comes around, they're going to struggle with the amount of games. Like, you know, we've been blessed the last couple of years where other teams maybe have struggled. Like I know Bows this year struggled with their league form. That's a chance now, a time of year for us to capitalise and get ourselves up the table. But I think the biggest thing, Chris, you know, from Martin's interview and from the interview with Alan, Sean, and Andy on the club website, you know, there's a big emphasis on the community and the supporters. And, you know, Andy brought up a couple of times about season tickets and buying jerseys and different things like that there. You know, I think that's the overwhelming message I've got over between the interview we done today and the interview the other day is, if we don't, when I say we, I mean the Dundalk supporters want this club to be successful, we need to invest as well. You know, where, as I said there when I was talking to Martin, Peak Six invested heavily, not always the right investment, but they invested heavily in the first team. This season they invested heavily in a lot of the wrong players, but you know, you would hope these lads, the likes of Martin, that'll be a little bit more clued in for that. But I think if we as supporters want the club to be successful, we're going to have to buy season tickets. We're going to have to join Patreon schemes. We're going to have to buy jerseys again and really get behind the club. And in turn, that brings back the atmosphere that was around town during the best years of the Kenny era as well, wasn't it? Is that kind of the vibe you're getting off the last couple of interviews?
Like even just listening back to Martin there earlier on, 3 things I wrote down that he mentioned: pride, community, and the best interests of the club. Now, that's probably 3 things that we didn't see from Peak Six. That, you know, if this is top of their priority of having the best interests of the club at heart in each decision they make, that's a massive difference from what we've seen. And like you just said, Pingu, sometimes I think Peak Six interest was trying to create the best first team, and sometimes those investments weren't sound investments. They were a bit of a gamble, but they thought by throwing a bigger wage budget at it that it would work out. But like, I'm just thinking back, like we like I say just before the interview there, we never really even had a chat about the takeover and everything else. Like, let me bring you back to the start of the year. We've got this crazy transfer strategy with Filippo going into his first full season. Then there's all these problems over whether he can manage or can't manage. Suddenly Shane Keegan's pushed out there. We had all of that where he's, you know, basically a shadow manager just standing in for Filippo. That all went pear-shaped. These lads, you know, took their own pride before what was going on at this club and decided to leave. We've had loads of staff members leave. We had protests, Vinny coming back, uproar still in and around the ground. We had very little communication from Peak Six. We'd 1-2 interviews from Bill throughout this whole thing. Finally, we seem to be on a much more stable level now. Like you said, we're back into local ownership who understand this club, who understand the local community. You're hearing bits and pieces from people saying that they're finally going back up to Oriel Park after having stayed away from a long time. Like that's great to hear, that they now feel that this club is back in a place that they're happy to go back to. Because I think, especially this year, the environment, like I know COVID probably has a lot to do with this as well, but the environment just wasn't a happy place to be. No. It seemed. We think about some of our top players that we lost at the start of the season, even because they just thought that the way everything was going. I mean, we'll probably touch on it now. It probably is just as good a time as any. But Gart's and Massey's interview this week. When you think about how Dane Massey was treated, here's a number for somebody. Can you ring him about your contract? And he was thinking, well, I give so much to this club. Why hasn't somebody just come to me and ask, ring me with an offer?
Yeah.
Why do I have to be the one to go back? And he's right. These Steph, you just said it there, that you can't have a football club without players, without the playing side of the club. They should be at the heart of these decisions, along with this community. And that's, if we join them up, we'll be in a much, much better place. But like when you think of that roller coaster that we've been on this year, to go back to a stage now where we're at, hopefully, I think it's safe to say already, between a communication from the club to Martin wanting to come on here and have a chat with us, like that's more communication than we ever had from Peak Six during their time. So this is great to see, and hopefully that's a good sign that we're going to start heading in the right direction. I think we should all roll in behind this, and hopefully we'll start to see these guys in time make the correct decisions. I mean, I was completely blown away when he was talking about these 3 weeks where they're going to be buying the club, they're not buying the club, they're definitely not buying the club. And you think about that time, they're probably ripping up plans going, well, look, we tried, it was a good shot, everybody, thanks for being involved. And then probably another phone call saying, well, hang on a second, you're back in the game again. Oh, right, back up again. That's mental. And to be thrown in now, and like we said to him, 1 game left this season, contract's about to end after this game. It's hardly ideal for new owners to come in and have to do it. And the last thing we want, as we've seen at the start of this year, is if you have to replace a lot of the squad, how hard that is. You've got to keep some sort of a core there together for this to work. So look, it's a big task, it's a big ask from these guys, but I think, as I say, thinking about what Martin said there, pride, community, and the best interest of the club, that's great to hear. I think that will go a long way with a lot of supporters too.
Yeah, and I think like one thing that's exciting again, like it's great. Obviously, Martin played a little bit of box clever with us about what his role is going to be long term. He's only talked obviously about up to Christmas, but you would hope he's going to have some involvement in how the club is going to be structured next year, and he's going to have some involvement within that club structure, hopefully on a consultancy basis longer term. Colin Murphy back in. We're hearing of other people going back in now as well on the administrative side, which is brilliant. But I think for me, this is probably going to be the first Christmas period in, I'd say, about 3 or 4 years that there's going to be genuine excitement about, there's question marks over who's going to be managing the team next year. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, that'll be made a little bit clearer. There's going to be players signing, there's going to be new players. That's a fact. I mean, we're not going to go with just Andy Boyle and Ryan O'Kane. You know what I mean? So we're going to have new players signing. But like, if you remember, like going back even 10 years ago, like this time of year was always it was sad because players were leaving, but there was an excitement. Like I always think back when, I think it might have been Christmas Eve in 2010 when Mark Quigley and Jason Bourne signed. I think they were two massive signings coming from a Bows team that just finished runner-up in the league. And then you're getting excited for the season again. So you just, we're going back to kind of the way the club was ran. And Martin said it in his interview, like they want to be ran like a good League of Ireland club. And the club has been that for a long time until the last 2 years, you'd probably say, maybe the last 3 years, when change started to kind of happen under Peak Six. But I think it's just, it's a good time to be a fan of Dundalk. And there's no reason why people at this moment in time should be questioning the owners and questioning their motives or questioning their long-term plans. It's like, just savor a close season where there's a genuine excitement for next year. It's not fair, you know. So look, we'll probably just have to wait and see. And I'm sure over the next few weeks, like if we might end up having to do just an episode 50 if there's any big news on the horizon. But it's a good time to be a Dundalk fan again, isn't it? We didn't think we'd say that a month ago.
Yeah, it could have went so badly the other way. We could be looking down in the barrel of a relegation playoff, and it's it's a couple of weeks. Like they say, a week is a long time in football. It goes like we've summed it up perfectly. The club has summed it up perfectly in the last couple of days. Yeah, it just changed everybody's mood. You can see it in Oriel Park tonight. You know, like everybody's just buzzing. There was no kind of there was a bit of allergy over the performance, but look at nothing. You know, everybody knows, right? Let's kick on for next year, 2022. Let's get. I see people just can't wait to get going. You know, and that's we didn't think we'd have that 6 months ago. You know, I think you cut across there, Chris. Sorry.
No, you're grand. No, you're grand. No, I think you're right. It's the change. It's the change in attitude for everybody now as well. You know, and I think you're kind of seeing that, and that's the main thing. I think, look, I do think back, you know, Pingu, a couple of years back, and you know, we had three or four players turning on lights at the marshes.
Yeah.
You know, just as the Christmas shop was opening, and you know, there's talk of the shop opening in the marshes again. It's really bringing you back to the good days back when, you know, the players. And the thing I always think about that was when Mickey Duffy announced them, there was a stage outside the marshes, and they come out and they were announced and stuff like that. And then after it, the players just came straight off the stage, just mingled with everybody else and went back into the marshes, and they were just posing for photos and everything with loads of kids and everything like that. And there was a big queue outside the shop, and you just think that was the real good days back, you know. And hopefully this is, you know, if there's talk of getting a shop back in the middle of the community like that again, it always proved very well. And imagine if these guys hadn't come in back in, what way would we be looking at? You know, season ticket sales and jersey sales, like, you know.
Well, that's when you think about it. Last year, like, it was a business park, wasn't it? The shop was put
in
way out of the town centre. And just when you're saying about turning on the lights, didn't Daryl Horgan, wasn't he announced down in the marshes? I think Ronan Finn, maybe the same year, they were both down there. Like, and not just a club shop being visible in the community. It's like you're doing player signings. You're not doing it the traditional way, and you would hope now that we'll go back that kind of way now, where it's going to be more engaging in the community, you know.
Yeah, it's not too long ago Jamie McGrath was down in the marshes. Like Ross got a picture with him, and you know, I sent to him after he moved and stuff like that. Just it was exactly like he was unveiled as the new signing, and then he was literally getting pictures with the fans, like the kids and the bigger kids as well. But it's that sort of connection that was lacking. And look, COVID had a bit to do with it as well, but it's going to be a massive couple of weeks on the recruitment side of things. So hopefully they have a good plan in place now, player wise. So exciting times anyway for me.
Yeah, we'd hope so. And look, as I say, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully there'll be stuff before too long. But look, we're going to wrap up the show in the next couple of minutes, and you know, winding down from probably the best season ever to start a podcast on Dundalk Football Club, which is why there's roughly, I think, 52 of them now, one for every week of the year. But I think, you know, we look at it, it has been an absolutely crazy season, and we done our Twitter poll. Andy Boyle was the winner of the Town End Player of the Year, won a pizza for it. So we hope We hope him and Haley were able to get their hands on the pizza from Tony's.
I think Haley was looking for a boiler special, apparently.
Yeah, whatever that is.
I'm worried.
Oh, Jesus. Don't go down that road.
But yeah, no, I just want to say, look, I know we're going to wrap up now, and we'll all get our little minute to speak. But I just want to say a big thanks to everybody for tuning in every week, whether it be live. The comments have been great. Everyone holding me accountable for not saying that how impressed I was or how I wasn't impressed with certain players. I really appreciate people for calling me out on social media and Oriel Web for that there. Looking forward to more of that next year. But no, look, I think I think Donald said it earlier, you know, it's at a time, especially as someone that's not living in the town anymore, the ability to watch the games and the ability to talk about the games after and see Stephen McKevitt every week, apart from when he takes 2 months off. But it really,
I think there was a newborn there. We could have got him a bit of slack, no?
No, never. But
just see you next year, pal.
Yeah, just the ability. Just the ability to talk about the game and shoot the breeze about how the club is going and stuff's just been really good. And look, I've made no bones on the podcast about my situation over the past year, and the pod's really been a help at times, maybe where I didn't want to talk to people, just going on and doing a bit, being able to talk with familiar faces and that you don't get out here is very much appreciated. So I just want to say thanks to you lads for that, and thanks to everybody for watching and listening.
It's emotional.
It is. It's getting a bit deep. You're just going to go, good luck. Yeah, look, you got it. You've hit the nail on the head. Like when we started the season, I thought we were mental going after every game. I thought, to myself, I was like, this is never going to work. I said, how are we going to do this after every match? And then I didn't think we would watch it. I was like, we are sitting here in our houses for, like, I know the first podcast is about 3.5 days long. I don't know how long it was. It went on forever.
This one's up here to rival it. Don't worry.
Yeah, as we touch on 1 hour, 1.5 hours. But yeah, look, it's been great. I mean, like I've only been to 2 games. Second one was tonight, and yeah, it's been a mad old season. We probably couldn't have picked a better season to do it. But yeah, look, it's been great. Without going into a mad old story, I was at a wedding last week, and somebody at the wedding cornered me over the podcast. They're in a good way. But I spent that long talking to him about Dundalk. I forgot what the drinks order was. So I went to the bar. The barman came up to me, and I couldn't remember what the drinks order. I was going for 20 minutes. I had to go back the whole way to the table to get the redo the order and go back to the bar. But it's things like that. You get people talking to you. Like Costa was another one. You know, and we're not experts in anything apart from Chris with the production. So we don't pretend to be pundits. So we're here to have the crack. We're here to, you know, we're just normal fans shooting the breeze, you know, talking shite for an hour and a half. And if you listen and you find it great. You know, but it's such a pity. It irks me. Is that the word? That we didn't get the 50 podcast. It's a pity the FA Cup final didn't come up. But look, we might get a 51 in, like Pingu says. But yeah, look, it's been great. There's nothing else really to say. I won't get as deep because we'll end up all crying here, boys. We'll end up like Lionel Richie music in a minute. Steph, you're up.
Yeah, look, just what you have been saying. I haven't been on as much as you have with other commitments, work, family, and stuff like that. And but no, it's to get on and get talking about the matches, especially. I think when we actually couldn't go to the matches, it was particularly very good because you like when you go up to the match, you're standing beside somebody. Golly, you're right about last week. But even you're standing beside a stranger and you sort of go, yeah, I sort of know this fella to see, and you just start talking about the match. And it was little things like that you'd sort of miss. You didn't know you missed them until you got back to the matches, but this sort of filled the void, and then it sort of snowballed a wee bit. Dean said to me, like, what? I think it was October or November. He talked about a podcast, and he said Gally was going to be involved, and I said, "Fuck me, I'm not getting involved in that." But he twisted me arm, and I don't think we've agreed on anything this season, Gally. We've had a good battle all season. Chris has been very professional. He's looked after everyone, tried to keep us all from cursing the park
Until now.
until now. Few dodgy comments along the way. Yeah, but we won't mention them again.
Yeah.
We get in
Just
Not
trouble.
allowed.
Don't pay the mistake.
But look, it's been brilliant to see even the fans, like the Nork supporters, fellow supporters coming in and commenting, different people having different opinions, and like it's just it's just like we had the connection within the fans ourselves, and it'll be great now if we can carry that on towards the club. But just want to shout out to Vinny from Tony's Pizzeria. He kept everyone in pizzas tonight. We've won for the player of the year, Andy Boyle, and then there's another one floating about. So I don't know. Chris is going to make the decision how we're going to get this one out.
Oh, fair play to you. Fair play to you. That came out of nowhere. Could we just do something over the weekend online on our socials?
Yeah, we can do something like that, can we?
Yeah.
Pull that one out of the bag, Steph.
We'll come up with something. We'll come up with something, and the boys will put it up on social media. So
yeah, we'll get somebody either on their best memory this year or worst memory this year or something. We'll get something. But like, lads, when you even like I say, it's been great doing this. When you think of the guests and stuff that we've had on this year as well, like it's been a chance to chat to former players and and managers and stuff that I think we all at times just kind of sat back and let them talk, and we're kind of in amazement for it. So I think that's been a real highlight of this. I think on the Dundalk side, like for probably the highlight of my season, like it's probably Fat's goal in Europe that time. Like unbelievable. Like we may never get a goal of that quality from a Dundalk player again at that stage and everything. So that's probably the big one. Steph's wallpaper getting a couple of mentions throughout the season was good anyway as well. Enjoyed that. And I think another, not that we can take any credit for it or anything, but I think from episode 1, 2 and onwards, we were calling for, is this now the time that we need to be getting some sort of supporters club together? And it's great to see that has happened this year. And we've gave plenty of opportunity on this platform as well for that. So like that's another good highlight going forward into whatever might happen with the new owners as well. That the fact that Martin mentioned that they're chatting to them already, I think that's a good sign as well. So plenty of reasons to be cheerful, lads. All this went on, never won one pizza. We should have got that extra pizza and just delivered a couple of slices to each one of us. So we could all lift a slice now.
Neither
we have to send yours.
Emily Perry never won one. She's watched every show, lads. So just saying.
Yeah.
Pick it up in 2 weeks.
Send Chicago pound pizza then.
Yeah.
So pick it up Friday week, like.
Yeah, we votes for your wallpaper of the year, which is good. Vinny got manager of the year at Dundalk.
It was a big list. It was a big list, to be fair.
To be fair.
I still don't think he got it.
Yeah. We've had no Hanks, no party going on.
I just seen Anne Mayer's comment there that if we're not on Facebook, we're on YouTube and Twitter as well. And I know Twitter can be a bit of a.
We can't put the comments up from Twitter anymore until
Twitter's YouTube as well for playback. I know the live might not be on YouTube. I get that, but yeah, we are on Spotify.
No, live is on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, then there you go. Even better.
Yeah. No, they're all live, and comments come in from YouTube as well. They come in from Facebook as well. We did have them from Twitter, but Twitter changed from Periscope to their own platform, and you can only go one direction. They can't send comments back. Well, you brought it up. I'm telling you, that's all right. I'm done.
I just didn't want anybody missing out. That's all.
Yeah. Frank Harlan wants to know who was our partner of the year for the club.
Oh, it's got to be Just Shoulders.
Just Shoulders.
There was probably too many to pick from there at times.
I have to say, we got Ovale. Everybody in the. I don't know if anybody else in the stand, but we got Ovale hand sanitizer tonight. We went in for free, so
Happy
we're
days.
always looking after people. Safety first, all that jazz.
There you go. That can be your partner of the year then.
I think
Hand
just before we finish up, we'd just like to say thanks to or congratulations to Danny O'Connell, who won Wi-Fi of the year.
Though Steph was rivaling for him at the start.
He was.
That's just what happened. Take it here.
And we're finishing up tonight, and there's so much more you could talk about, like, but you'll be here till Christmas Eve. But official recruitment partner, yeah.
Derry City.
But yeah, no, it's been a mad old season, and look, it's been great crack. Like we've had like
the end of this podcast, lads, is turning more and more like a WhatsApp group here. So this is great. I actually forgot, it was you to mention, because the guests we've had on. Look, we have to thank the guests as well. Like we've had recurring guests as well. Like people helped us out. David Lennon, Kieran Callan, Donald was a guest, and then he became part of the group. So yeah, Niall Newbury was on a couple of times. Tom O'Connor as well. Look,
Mark Rossiter's a co-host, isn't he? At this
Mark
point,
Rossiter was practically part of the furniture, yeah. And he poor chap never come on after a win either.
Live at Oriel.
Live at Oriel. Martin Lawler for me was probably the one that just an absolute legend speaking. You know, if we're going to pick one, but look, it's been great. It's been great to speak to people you wouldn't normally hear from. You know, you wouldn't get that chance. I would never get that chance to speak to Martin Lawler for an hour and a half. You'd never get it. So it's
great. You can talk to him,
though. There's people you shouldn't talk to. You just listen. Dale McKeely,
McKeely, Alan O'Neill, Dave Rogers. Like when you go through the list,
it's been a good season. How do we back this one up?
Sack Pingu.
When you're up in Oriel with Martin, will you still come on, Pingu?
I just might not be able to say too much. The Wi-Fi will be going.
Yeah.
Right, lads. Well, on that awkward
Let's wrap this.
I was busy reading David's comment. I apologize.
You're all right.
No worries. Yeah, no, thanks everybody. It was a good year, and thanks everyone for coming on. And again, as I said, this show, we wouldn't still be going if people weren't listening and watching back. I think, Chris, we had after this, we'll probably have about 60,000 across everything. I think 6,000, not 60,000, is it?
No. When we totaled up listens, views, everything, we were on like 55,000. So
that was a couple of episodes ago.
This one, so that's amazing, and thanks to everybody for.
It would have been a lot less if Steph had been on every week, but
I don't know. They were tuning in for the wallpaper.
There was big spikes up when I tuned in. So.
This is how we'll vote for next year. We'll figure out who gets the highest ratings, lads, and they make the cut for next year.
Perfect.
Who gets the closing words for the season?
Steph probably had the best closer of the lot, so it probably should go to him.
I was gonna say no fats, no party, but I'll say no 10 Ed podcast, no pizza.